Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This video is the part second of the video lecture series for the MBA first semester students. The video contains the basic principles and concepts in management under the course titled Management Concepts and Processes, having the course code MBA 101C. The overview of the video contains evolution of management theory and challenges in management. Let me first discuss evolution of management theory. The need to study management arose with the Industrial Revolution in Europe. The evolutionary theories of management can be broadly classified under classical, neoclassical, and modern theories of management. The Industrial Revolution and the systematic study of management are the result of a remarkable confluence of ideas and events. The classification of management theories as per their chronology is as: in classical theories we have scientific management and we have administrative management. Under neoclassical theories of management we have human relation approach, social systems approach, decision theory approach, management science approach, human behavior approach. Under modern theories, also called as contemporary theories of management, we have systems approach and we have contingency approach. Now let me discuss these theories one by one. First, the scientific management theory. The major contributors of this theory were F.W. Taylor, H.L. Kent, and Frank and Lillian Gilbert. The scientific management theory was concerned with improving operational efficiency of an organization. According to F.W. Taylor, who is referred as the father of scientific management, scientific management is concerned with knowing exactly what you want men to do and then see in that they do it in the best and cheapest way. The major contribution of scientific management theory were the principles of scientific management. The first principle: replacing rule of thumb with science. Scientific management viewed management as organized knowledge. It focused on decisions with precision, not estimation. It focused on standardization in instruments, standardization in the period of work, standardization in the amount of work, standardization in the working places, and so on. It introduced the differential rate system, which means to compensate employees differently in order to motivate them. The second scientific principle: harmony in group action. That means there should be a proper understanding. Third, cooperation means cooperation between management and workers. The next, maximum output. Scientific management theory focused on efficiency in the production. And finally, the development of workers. So, as per the scientific management theory, there should be a scientific selection, scientific training, and scientific development of employees. Number two, administrative management theory. This theory was put forward by a French industrialist, Henri Fayol. He focused on the operational aspect of the management. He proposed the 14 principles of management, which include division of work. That means work of all kinds must be divided and subdivided and allotted to various persons according to their expertise in a particular area. Next, authority and responsibility. Authority refers to the right of superiors to get exactness from their subordinates. Responsibility means obligation for the performance of the job assigned. Next, discipline, which means sincerity, obedience, respect of authority, and observance of rules and regulations of the enterprise. Next, unity of command. As per Henri Fayol, a subordinate should receive orders and be accountable to one and only one boss at a time. Next, unity of direction means people engaged in the same kind of business or same kind of activities must have the same objectives. Next, subordination of individual interest to the general interest. An organization is much bigger than the individual it constitutes. Therefore, interest of the undertaking should prevail in all circumstances. Next, remuneration. Remuneration to be paid to the workers should be fair, reasonable, satisfactory, and rewarding of the efforts. Next, centralization. Centralization refers to the degree to which subordinates are involved in decision making. Next, scalar chain. It is the chain of superiors ranging from the ultimate authority to the lowest. Order. The principle is concerned with proper and systematic arrangement of things and people. Next, equity, which means combination of fairness, kindness, and justice. Next, stability of tenure of personnel means employees should not be moved frequently from one job position to another. That is, the period of service in a job should be fixed. Next, initiative means eagerness to initiate actions without being asked to do so. The last principle, esprit de corps, refers to the team spirit, that is harmony in the work groups and mutual understanding among the members. Now, the human relation approach. This theory was put forward by Elton Mayo. He conducted an experiment in the Western Electric Plant at Chicago, referred to as Hawthorne experiment. The company where this experiment was conducted was manufacturing the telephone parts and equipments. There were different phases of this experiment, broadly classified under four basic phases. The first phase, illumination experiment. The second phase, relay assembly test room experiment. The third phase, bank wiring observation room experiment. And the final phase, interweaving program. In the first phase of the experiment, called as illumination experiment, which was carried out between 1924 to 1927, the light intensity was measured. The experiment was conducted by the National Research Council, and the results were higher worker productivity and satisfaction at all light levels. The conclusion of the experiment was light intensity has no conclusive effect on output. Productivity has a psychological component. In the second phase of the experiment, between 1927 to 1929, called as the relay assembly test room experiment, the factors of the production were manipulated, and the effect of those factors were measured on the output. For example, on the pay incentives, on the length of the workday and work week, the use of the rest periods, and company sponsored meals. The result of this experiment was higher output and greater employee satisfaction. This phase concluded that positive effects, even with negative influences, workers' output will increase as a response to attention. Strong social bonds were created within the test group. Workers were influenced by the need for recognition, security, and a sense of belongingness. The third phase, bank wiring observation room experiment, was conducted between 1931 to 1932. Some limited changes were incorporated in the working conditions, such as segregated work area, no management visits, supervision would remain the same, observer would record data only, that means no interaction with workers, and a small group pay incentive was introduced, and the result was no appreciable change in our output. This phase concluded that pre-existing performance norms were set by the employees. Group dictated production standards, which is a concept referred to as systematic soldiering, where employees deliberately slow down the rate of their doing work. Work group protection from management changes. And finally, the fourth and final phase of the experiment was the interweaving program between 1925 to 1927. Objective questions were posed to the respondents about working conditions, work relationships, attentive sympathetic listening, and concern for personal records. There were objectives of the yes or no type, and the result was a remarkable positive employee perception. The conclusion of this phase was that new supervisory style improved worker morale. The next theory, social systems approach. This theory was put forward by Pareto and Chester Bernard. They treated management as a social system, which means a system of cultural relationships. They understood the behavior of groups and individuals. They found that a relationship exists between internal and external environment of an organization. They focused on the cooperation in an organization. Next, decision theory approach. This theory was put forward by Simon, Sayed, Forrester, etc. This theory viewed manager as a decision maker, and they viewed organization as a decision making unit. As per decision theory approach, members of the organization are decision makers and problem solvers. The quality of decisions results in increase in the efficiency of an organization, which was the major contribution of decision theory approach. Next, management science approach. The major contributors of this theory were Newman, Russell Ackoff, Charles H., and so on. Scientific approach to decision making. Use of logic and mathematics. Mathematical modeling, the use of statistical tools, and computer science was used in order to arrive at effective decision making. It focused on maximizing efficiency by minimizing cost. This theory used optimization techniques in order to enhance the output. Next, human behavior approach. The major contributors of this theory were Maslow, Herzberg, Room, McClelland, Ergoides, Likert, Levin, and so on. As per human behavior approach, organization consists of people. It focused on the interpersonal and group behavior of employees. This theory draws the literature from psychology and sociology. The major thrust or the key areas of this theory were motivation, leadership, participative management, group dynamics, and so on. Next, systems approach. The major pioneers of this theory were Chester Bernard, George Homans, Philip Selnick, and Herbert Simon. They treated organization as an enterprise. System, which is a set of interrelated but separate parts working towards a common purpose. The major thrust area of the systems approach was on communication. Next, contingency approach. This is also called as if-then approach. That means if something happens, then what should be done? So management principles and schools have no general and universal applicability under all conditions. As per contingency theory, there is no best way of doing things under all conditions. Internal and external environment scanning is important. Appropriateness of management techniques depending on the particular situation. Now the final topic of this video is about the challenges in management. In the present scenario, it is difficult for the organizations to survive. The challenges and the competition bring organizations more opportunities. Even though there are various challenges in management, following are the contemporary challenges. Number one, economic pressure. During difficult economic times, effective management is often at a premium. Anybody can run a company when business is booming. But the difference between a bad management and a good management reflects the difference between making a lot of money and making a lot for money. In tough times, the difference between a good and a bad management can be the difference between profit or loss, or ultimately between survival and failure. Next, globalization. It implies that business transactions, customers, suppliers, and alliances occur across distance, time zone, and countries, which introduces new cultures and languages into the mix. Strategic challenges of mixed cultures and languages in the business environment. Next, change. In the words of Jack Welch, change or die. So change is very important for any organization, because without change, businesses would likely lose their competitive edge and fail to meet the needs of what most hope to be a growing base of loyal customers. If the organization continues with its old business methods and do not adopt the new strategies, then it is likely that the business might come to an end. Change can be incorporated in various sectors like technology, culture, growth opportunities, and so on. Next, innovation. It differs from the invention in that innovation is the use of a better and, as a result, novel idea or method, whereas invention refers more directly to the creation of the idea or method itself. Notion of doing something different rather than doing the same thing better is all about what is called as innovation. We have a best example of Apple in terms of innovation. Next is customer service. Organizations can't exist without customers. That is why customer is called the king. Meeting the required needs and demands of the customers has become a challenge for the organization. Many organizations are trying to target their customers through web portals and allowing them a convenient approach to their services at their homes only. As an example, We have ICICI Bank, which has a 24 into 7 electronic branch where customers approach in terms of their services. Next, employee satisfaction is a measure of how happy workers are with their job and working environment. In the present day business, keeping employees motivated help them improving their skills, providing them assistance in terms of crisis or some of the practices followed by the organizations. We have a best example of employee satisfaction as Google. Organization ethics. A code of ethics within an organization is a set of principles used to guide the organization in its decisions, programs, and policies. Another challenge to the management is the social responsibility. It is a duty every individual or organization has to perform so as to maintain a balance between the economy and the ecosystem. As a social responsibility example, we have a non-profit Tata Cancer Treatment Center belonging to the Tata company. Pressure from world organizations. Many world organizations such as WTO has a great influence on the working of multinational organizations as well as on national organizations. The organizations have to follow the rules, principles, and various articles laid down by these world organizations. Another challenge to the management is the stressful environment which we experience nowadays. International competition, globalization, and modern technology have prompted organizations to consider downsizing, which means to reduce the size, restructuring, which means to structure again, and outsourcing as business strategies, and hence making the work environment more competitive than even before. Working under these conditions will definitely lead to higher pressure, which is a burden on the professionals working within an organization. This was all about the part second of this video lecture series. Hopefully, the video will suffice you in understanding the basics of management. For any queries, feel free to reach out to me on the mentioned email ID. Thank you.